Welcome to the Last Intellectuals Are Really Stupid podcast. I'm Borley Borelstein, or, well, for be referred to as Austin, I suppose, for the duration of this podcast with my co-host Sean. I
Hello.
was hoping you were gonna go Ariba Ariba and then run out the door with a smoke
Just
cloud behind you.
just leave.
Well, if we use the mid 2000s circa Skype namings, then that would be what I would expect of you. Because your name was Al Shanio.
Oh, that's right.
This is like such
Oh my
a
God, that's so archaic.
that's
Oh,
such
no,
a that's such
that was
a what's
that
the
was excellent.
word esoteric joke.
Yeah, I
Now
got it.
you
That
know
was
now you know
pretty
what
funny.
would
That
people
was
expect from me in that era if we were using circa 2005 Skype names.
Or monikers.
Well, my name was Goatsy Ripping Homo. So, yeah, I was very progressive. I had a
Yeah, you
picture of
were.
a man's ass on my Skype picture.
Ahead of the curve. And if you
But
don't know what goatse is, please look it up.
yeah, no, I would definitely
You
suggest
can
if you don't
find
know
it
what
at
Goatsy is.
goatseedance.com.
Yeah. I would assume there is a custodians that are making sure that Goatsy is preserved on the internet in one form or another. And if not Goatsy, then at least somebody else is carrying the torch with their gaping asshole.
Do you think internet culture is gonna ever have its own like kind of history? Like
Yeah,
its
they
own
got
museum?
degrees for that.
Our digital museum? Is that a real thing?
Yeah,
Like
they
they
have
exist?
internet culture or something. I think they have internet history degrees, actually. I think that's
I
actually a
al-
degree somewhere.
I always thought that was just a meme thing people said. That's so
I
funny.
think it's a real thing that
That's
needs
a
to
legit.
exist,
That's
though,
legit though.
because
I
there's
mean, that is
so
like
much,
culture.
so much more history has happened in the last 10 years on the internet
Yes.
than has
Yes.
happened in the last 50 years on paper that you
Yes.
couldn't even fucking imagine, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Very true. Well,
Like,
because people can make their own little sects, and
yeah,
then
like
that
so
like
many more
takes a life of its
stories.
own. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much more going on at such a faster pace, and so much of it is getting transmitted all over the fucking place.
Simultaneously.
Basically, it's like, the coronavirus, if we're lucky.
And it's cross-pollinating.
Yeah. Now, have you heard of the theory of the coronavirus that it actually gets across the planet by jumping from mountains?
Yeah, are you being for real, or that's a real thing?
Oh, somebody thinks it.
I
Kind of
don't
like with
know.
chemtrails, it's in the same kind of
Well, I mean,
vein.
okay, chemtrails are real. That's it's all
Well, it's a real
brain,
thing in the sky.
brain is no, they're real. It's brain control.
Oh, yeah. I have okay, well, we should just get into it, I guess, because I'm gonna forget if we don't talk about it now.
Okay,
So
okay.
I was watching a video about an economist panel with Paul Krugman and a guy named Bronco who has this like curve about global wealth inequality in terms of the gains in income, and it ends up looking like an elephant. But that's unrelated. In the comments on the video, there was a man who was saying how Paul Krugman was a hack because he changed his position on this or that or something. And then some guy commented, and it was one of the most like well responded comments where he's like, well, first you said this, and then here I brought some sources, and then you said this, and I have some sources, and you said this, and I have some sources, and if we take all those together, this can be true, these can be true, but these can't all be true together. Somewhere what you're going on, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. And then the guy just responded saying, oh, well, of course my comment was deleted because they want it to be deleted. So he has this kind of conspiracy. And then another person responded to him saying, dude, why are you wasting your time on this guy? The original poster has chemtrail videos on his channel. And lo and behold, this person who was making this seemingly insane argument initially about how Paul Krugman is an idiot hack, he himself on his YouTube channel has videos where he's recording chemtrails in the sky, and then he's like, and he would write like random numbers after the video,
Ah,
like he
yeah,
was sending a code to his other
yeah,
chemtrail
yeah.
truthers.
That's awesome, man.
And I just thought, a lot of the times when you see posts that are like anti intelligence,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they usually belong to an account that has nothing there. And it's almost like a
Right,
bot or something. But this guy,
right. He's real.
this guy's a
He's
real
got the
person.
receipts.
And it kind of makes you think that this person gets the same level of voice that I get.
I know. I
And
know. Yeah.
and I'm not crazy, but
Yeah.
he's crazy. And so the internet is a magical place. And I guess since we're talking about YouTube, we should talk about our first news story. We haven't really even talked about what the hell we're talking about, but that doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
we just we wheel and deal. We fly
Yeah,
by
yeah.
seat of our
We'll cover
pants.
some news stuff, mostly related to the hilarious absurdity that is modern politics, and
Hmm.
then go into just some straight inane bull crap.
And some fun things, and we'll
So
have some
what
fun.
happened? Something happened with PragerU this week. So PragerU, if you don't know, is suing YouTube because their videos are being blocked from children.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that's affecting a lot of channels, not just
Yeah,
PragerU. I
yeah.
mean
So
that's a
that's
huge thing.
yeah.
It'll
So I
affect
think
music.
there's one. I think PragerU can't do ads, and then also yeah, they're being a part of that COPPA thing, which is
Hmm.
the children online protection against companies having to actually do anything act. I think is what it is, where basically the
Yeah, yeah.
online uh,
Moniker, the online name.
uh, website hosters basically are like, oh, it's anybody who does anything on our website, it's their responsibility.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we could not possibly have any guilt. So Pregu was complaining about that a while ago, but they took him to court over being they can't, I guess, like advertise their own videos, and then they had like a thing on Spotify, and it was decided in court. Could you believe what happened?
What happened?
PragerU was found to have no case,
Wow, great.
and
I
you
was I was almost wondering if PragerU would be the heroes that the
no, unfortunately, they are
that
not.
content
They are
creators
not the
actually
Ayn
served.
Randian. What was her? Oh, objectivist. Yeah, PragerU here was not the objectivist hero, and for one little oversight that they forgot how to read the Constitution.
Hmm.
So if you know in the Constitution, the First Amendment, maybe you heard of it.
I've heard bits and pieces,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, it says that the government
Murmurings,
can infringe on
murmurings.
your right for free speech.
Yeah.
Now I have I have a undergrad degree and I'm in grad school. And so
Hmm.
I can read pretty decently. And I
Hmm.
think you can read pretty decently too. But there's a
Hmm.
part in that statement that I said that I think any human that has about above high school level understanding and reading, I think maybe they should understand that there was a part about the government infringing on your rights to free
Hmm.
speech
Hmm. Hmm.
and that YouTube is not a government.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Nobody voted YouTube to be a place. Now, obviously, PragerU addresses that issue in their statement by saying that basically it's a public square forum and they shouldn't curtail it or whatever.
Go somewhere else.
And yeah, right. I mean,
Go to a different platform.
judges. I mean, and obviously, PragerU is just burning their fracking billionaire dollars on this one, and the reason is because they can one play the victim. They get
Hmm.
social capital and political capital for that on their own channel, but then two, another issue, a reason to do this. Oh fuck my nose. Another reason to do this. Oh fuck, I forgot it. I can't remember.
Oh
What
no.
are they doing?
Was the second reason
Oh
for
yeah, yeah. Is that no judge is ever going to pass
take that on?
take a case on as legitimate that will change a constitutional right.
Hmm.
Only the Supreme Court can do that.
Hmm.
And the judge, the ruling, I think it was actually the Supreme Court in the state actually that ruled on it. But
Okay.
anyway, one of their because I read it a little bit, and one of the
Yeah.
things they said was if we were to take this case on, if this were to come to pass, then every private property would have to be held to the first Constitution criteria,
Standard or
meaning
yeah.
that
Yeah.
every person would now become responsible for ensuring that no, like you can't basically stop people from blaring
Yeah.
horrible music. You cannot infringe on anyone's sound rights,
Yeah.
essentially. Like if somebody came to your lawn and started saying that you were worthless and deserve to die, nobody can stop him until
Hmm.
it becomes
Hmm.
like,
Until it becomes
threatening.
action,
Yeah, until it becomes threatening or
citing it.
provocative.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, they're like, yeah, every person, if there's ever like, a speech at some college campus,
Hmm.
other people could come in and just say horrible things and
Yeah.
you won't be able to remove them, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, Sometimes they remove them, sometimes
I
they
was gonna
don't.
say,
It just
but
depends
in
on.
reality, like
Yeah,
how
I mean
often
sometimes that does happen, but the re-
happen? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the reason the PragerU story is kind of funny is because within the same year, if you remember that there was like some kind of bakery incident where they didn't want to make a cake for
Yeah,
a gay
yeah,
couple or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
and PragerU proudly stood up with the
yeah,
homophobic baker and said, just find another private business. Don't tell the government shouldn't tell private businesses what to do. But now,
now
here they want the
it's
government
there.
to
Yeah, yeah.
overreach. And it's kind of funny because PragerU was a YouTube channel that consistently advocates for reduced government regulation,
Mhm.
except when it serves their interests.
Well, that's usually how it happens, though. I mean, that's
Yeah, that's
typically the case for anyone who says they don't want a lot of government. It's just to what degree do you
yeah.
want
To where do you want the
government?
government directed is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
what they're talking about. But I mean, no Republican knows that. I hope
They
a
wouldn't
Republican
acknowledge that.
clicks on this and watches. I hope somebody's here that's a Republican. We're not Republicans, by the way.
Yeah.
If you somehow misconstrued
Didn't
that,
pick that up.
yeah, because us, just like Bloomberg, love big gay ice cream. Now this is actually kind
Is
of
that a
old.
segue? Is that a segue?
It is a
That's
segue.
a good segue.
I've
Nice.
never actually been on a segue before, but I feel like I would get hurt and die.
Well, you wrote that one pretty well. Let's keep it
Excellent.
going. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it
Let's keep it
rolling.
rolling. Okay, so this is kind of old, but actually, no, this is like only a month old. Mike Bloomberg's Big Gay Ice Cream. Now,
Dumb.
this has 2 million fucking views. How many of the 2 million viewers do you think
Stupid thing.
watched this and thought, yeah, Mike Bloomberg, as me, as a fully automated gay space communist, I love this? How many people do you think had that reaction?
I honestly didn't get to watch the video,
Oh,
so
well, you should watch it
you
right
should
now.
you should describe it as I'm.
Oh, okay,
watching.
I'll describe it. So Mike
Yeah.
Bloomberg's standing there, and he's like, "Where's my ice cream?" Typical white privilege. Just where's my ice cream? Somebody has to bring it to him. God
Yeah,
forbid
yeah,
he actually
yeah.
get off his fucking ass and do
Goals.
anything.
Yeah.
And then he gets a spoon and he takes the most pitiful scoop of ice cream you've ever seen, as if his wrists are about to break because the only reason he's alive is he's kept alive by the pure greed that he has to collect more money. If for any second his wealth vanished, he would disappear like a fucking Dracula vampire in the sunlight. And then he's like, I love big gay ice cream after he tastes it. And it's just,
What the fuck is this?
yeah,
Oh,
this is
it's
absurd.
actually
This is something that you would
it's
see
from
in a
his
French
real life
novel.
Twitter. Oh, I thought it was the Fox News video that you wanted me to watch. This
Oh,
is awesome.
yeah, no, it's
Oh my god.
only
Why?
like 10 seconds long. It's got 2
Yeah,
million
this
views, and it's supposed to be like, see, I like gay people because I like this big gay ice cream company.
It's such a tiny little bite. I mean, it's provocative. It's stupid.
Yeah,
What
most of the comments are, this is
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
ice cream.
pandering and pathetic.
Is it like Ben and Jerry's or what?
No, it's it's an ice cream company called Big Gay Ice Cream, I think. I
And it's
assume.
like he's like signaling that
Yeah, he's like,
he's
I'm cool with the
progressive.
gays.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
as somebody who wanted to be gay for a long time, I can tell you that Mike Bloomberg does not have my vote after that
What?
video.
You wanted to be gay?
Yeah,
I
fuck.
thought that's
You
what
know
wait,
how
what the
awful
heck?
it is to deal with women?
I thought, I mean, I think dealing with most people is pretty obnoxious, but yeah, I understand that sentiment. I thought it was a choice though. I thought people just choose to be gay
Well,
or straight.
unfortunately, I couldn't choose hard enough.
Oh my god. You
Yeah.
should have thought down. You should have sat down and just
I
thought
should have
really,
sat
really hard
down
about-
and chose harder. I should have wrote
Should've
down like the
chose
pros
to
and
get harder.
cons of being gay and just been like, you know what?
That
I
is
think I made my
dumb.
choice. I'm gay now.
It's I'm objectively just a gayer person.
I'm
now.
just a gayer person now.
It's
Like
just
that's how the decision comes about to people who
should
don't know anything.
Well, but I always thought that idea, like people who genuinely think that like being gay is a choice, like does that
Have
mean
they
that
ever?
there's-
What have they chosen in their life?
That's what I'm saying. Like, does that mean like their sexuality is so like fluid and fragile? I guess is the word I'm looking for. That just at any moment, just like the right guy is gonna come along and like whisk them off their feet and make them denounce their heterosexuality.
Well, I don't think that people who think homosexuality is a choice think that about themselves. I think that's what they think about
They just
other.
think
I
that's
think that's what they think
everybody
about gay
else.
people. Is that like you because most homophobia is traced back to the communist scare. The most homophobia comes from American government propaganda. There was a big
That's right.
scare.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
a big scare that homophobia was a moral character failing and that you weren't able to control yourself because
You
the
mean
only
homosexuality?
sexual release one should have is in the production of children for the capitalist state. And that's it. That's why only white families expecting children, having children, or married and saying they're gonna bang were moved into the suburbs.
Hell
And if
yeah.
you were married and you didn't have kids and you were older, you more often than not didn't get to move into the suburbs. The
I'm just picturing like a married couple. They're like talking to the it's like a broker
a
who is in
realtor or
charge. The
something.
realtor. Thank you. I'm dumb. I'm the last
The last intellect, the stupid
intellectual. I'm the stupid. I'm
are
the
really
stupid
are
one.
really, you know you're the are really
Uh,
stupid.
I'm the I really stupid. You are the last intellectual. So that's pretty good. Um, like they're just talking to the realtor, and then just in the middle, he's like, "Okay, I just have to be sure about this. You banging?
Pretty much.
Like you tapping that? Like,
Well, I think in going along with like 60s and maybe 50s verbiage,
mhm.
they would probably say,
Are you
"Have you
serious?
did you save yourselves for marriage together?" You know, like something like that. Because that
Right?
was another thing. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know this. There
yeah.
was like one sociological study. There's basically like one that was done that asked a lot of people's attitudes towards sex, saving yourself for marriage, and things like that. And it
Mhm.
was like a big thing that a lot of people really stressed over. It ruined a lot of people's lives, honestly. If you read some of these stories that these people tell
Yeah.
in the study, it is heartbreaking to think that a government sponsored culture damaged so many people's lives because they thought that that was the standard that they
That's
had
what
to
they
live up
had to
to.
do. Yeah. I mean,
And
it's like you're
it
literally
is
going against your
heartbreaking.
nature.
It's heartbreaking to think that that was the case. So yeah, that was a bunch of
But now we have it the other way, and everyone's fucking everybody else.
yeah, just like that ice cream video.
Everyone's judging.
Because if you are pro non-straight, but if you are pro anything that isn't just straight, then you're basically ice cream rainbow rapist. If you've seen the Bill Nye skit.
Ice cream rainbow
Yeah,
rapists.
there's it's this part of the Bill Nye Saves the World. There's like basically vanilla ice cream, and he says he's the best. And then there's a bunch of other ice creams, and they're like, "Oh, well, you'd like me if you tried me," and he's like, "Oh no!" And then all the ice creams like
Gang
symbolically
bang 'em.
rape him, and then
What
he's like,
the
"Oh my god, I love all the ice creams," and it's like just a sex orgy. No, I would say as far
what?
as sexual liberation goes, I stop at Bill Nye. Like, I do not believe in a sex stew. I don't think you should just fuck everybody and give everyone hand jobs, as Rachel Bloom says.
Oh man.
And I feel like you should maybe just
I
have a
mean,
little bit of reservation in how crassly sexual you will be with another individual.
hmm
You know, I I mean, polyamory isn't really that big of a thing, and I don't think it ever will
some
be.
people make it a bigger deal than I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. But Bill Nye's, from what I've seen of it,
So he's
very
arguing
much
that it's like
promotes polyamory.
I was gonna say,
And
okay,
that's
that's
kind of where I
morally
stop.
okay.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. I don't really give a fuck. But in
Right.
terms of just what I'm okay with for me personally, that's where I draw the line is that I would not be okay with that. But
hmm
in terms of what other people do, I don't give a fuck. That's fine. Do
I
whatever you
mean,
like. It's just that how the messaging in the Bill Nye video is very disturbing. And the implications are you just need you are gay, but you just need to have a gay experience to unlock your gayness is kind of what the argument is, which is like
hmm
which if you know anything about anti-gay arguments, one of the anti-gay arguments that males will use against lesbian women is that, oh, you just need
you
a good
haven't tried the
dickie.
right dick. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is just fucked up and stupid. So like,
Awesome.
so basically what I'm trying to say here is I'm an enlightened centrist and I see both sides.
Everyone's legitimate, okay?
Yeah, right, totally. I don't even know how to segue into this, but I thought it
Well, if
was
I just
funny.
say,
If we can go on the Bloomberg hate train for a little bit longer on
okay,
his team, the Bloomberg team, Bloomberg, Mike
this Twitter is
2020.
awesome, by the
This
way.
this is the greatest thing. If you have the opportunity, you need to go to the President Bloomberg subreddit. You have to go to Team Bloomberg Twitter, and you need to look at what they're posting because it is absolutely the most absurdist thing you'll ever see. Their team actually posted a picture of meatballs, and they are asking their Twitter followers which meatball looks like Mike, and it seems almost like a fellow kid's innocuous post,
Yeah.
but I think it goes a little bit deeper because there's another post we'll get to that relates to this. But there is a concept among leftists that we should eat the rich. So I think what they're doing here is I think
Yeah,
Team
man.
Bloomberg is dog whistling to hardcore leftists, calling them out on like, oh, here's Bloomberg, come and get him.
What's this for?
I don't know who it is for because nobody seemed to like it.
Yeah, like Mike Bloomberg.
That too. And now, okay, I think this comment summed it up best. The left can't meme. This lady, Cambry, she thinks that Mike Bloomberg is a leftist, despite funding Republicans in the Senate and making the Democrats lose the Senate, despite being a Republican for like what, fucking 15 years,
Yeah.
a registered Republican, and despite doing Republican things like mistreating minorities and saying that Muslims
stop and
are.
frisk is such like it's like a low-hanging fruit, I feel.
What do you mean?
Stop and frisk? Like everyone knows about how he endorsed that and then wouldn't
Everyone
like,
might know about it, but they don't know how he didn't do anything to stop it. And then it was
he defended it a lot.
the
until, like,
lady, the judge who was on the Supreme Court of New York that forced stop and frisk, that you have to cut this back,
the government
went
didn't
on the
tell him.
news and was like, he did not stop until we told him to.
Yes,
he didn't cut it. It wasn't like it was just like ballooning out of control. And then it was like, oh, I gotta cut this back. We're hurting minorities.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you go to where he actually says these things, he says verbatim, the reason we police black communities is because that's where the crime is.
That's where the crime is, yeah.
And it's like that is a very Republican way of looking at the world, and not like, it's like
why.
crime isn't symptomatic of an unjust society and a bad system, a bad economy, but instead crime is what criminals do. Like that's the Republican thought process. So he's encouraging us to eat him, and I think we should. I think we should eat him alive. And it seems like that's what happened at the debate, the little bit of it that I watched.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like the first one he was on was kind of sad. I didn't really watch much of I think Nevada. No, Nevada was the
whatever one that was Tuesday.
South Carolina.
Which is pretty funny.
I didn't really watch much of that one, but I heard it was just a total shit show.
The audience was like ultra rich, wealthy people because apparently to get a ticket you had to be a donator to the DNC, or you had to spend somewhere between $1,700 to like $3,000, I guess, or something. Wow. You had to have that kind of money to throw away. Yeah. So that would explain why Bernie got so many boos about things that are like, I want to give people health care. Get
him out of here.
Yeah, oh no, we're gonna pay for that. I love Warren is looking so fucking bad. If you're a Warren supporter, I feel bad for you, son, because she is fucking stupid. Holy fucking shit. How can you make the argument, how are you gonna pay for that, Bernie? He wrote we know how you're gonna pay for it. Almost the same way you're gonna pay for it, you stupid fucking I don't even know what is it when you pretend I really don't like Elizabeth Warren. I think she
when
should politically get the fuck out of everything because
Mm.
she is fucking stupid. How do you go around pretending to be Native American when you don't even have tribal affiliation?
That
Like
one
that
is
pisses me off so fucking much.
that's
Like
so
I'm more Native American than she is, and I don't fucking write a book about
yeah.
how fucking Indian powwow from grandma's fucking teepee. Like excuse me,
Yeah.
but take your like using the tiniest little bit of like minority relation and then trying to construe that into some kind of like
Part of your
political
head,
gain and financial gain
Yeah.
is pretty much on par with what I would expect from a Republican. Like, I honestly think she is complete trash for that one point alone. And I don't know. I fuck her. I mean, she's not going to win the nomination anyway, so we don't have to.
No.
I don't
Yeah,
have to
I
entertain the
yeah,
idea of
don't
voting for her.
worry
I
about
mean,
it.
most of her policies are probably on par with Bernie's, and she's like the closest thing in terms of policy that I actually would give a shit about. But as far as like not being awful, well, you failed that one, lady. Like it's just absolutely pathetic. Like, oh, whoopsie, I didn't know how you
I
were
know
American
it's
Indian. I didn't know. It's like,
not
well,
like
if you're pretending to be something, you probably should have done a little bit of research.
it's not like she just kind of like tepidly did it and said it.
Yeah,
Like,
she wrote a fucking book about
deal about
how
it.
her heritage is, and she can make this fucking recipe book for you. It's like, fuck off. Get the fuck out of here.
That's awesome.
So
What do
fucking
you think
stupid.
of Buttigieg?
I mean, he's just like a literal fucking robot.
He is, dude. I don't know how anyone can pretend that like he gets them excited about anything. He talks like yeah,
He talks like
he's
pre
he's
pre
very
96 Clinton.
yes, yeah.
Before
yeah,
Clinton started getting
actually,
blowjobs in the Oval Office, that's what he talks like. Except Clinton, you at
He had
least
more charisma to him, I
yeah,
feel.
Clinton at least had a forced accent that made him
Southern
relatable.
charm.
He had an accent that was relatable. Buttigieg, his problem is that
He says a
he
lot without saying anything.
looks a little weird. And now it's fine if you look weird, if there is some positive charisma. But if you look weird and you're squirrely and your affectation and how you talk is weird, then you just come off as weird. And he comes off as very like
Well, it's
I'm a paid for shill by billionaires. And even in the debate, he's like,
dude, he
billionaires donate to me, but I'm going to raise your taxes, billionaires. And it comes off as like a battered housewife who's saying that she's going to divorce her husband.
yeah, yeah.
Like, we know you're not going
Like,
to.
that's not gonna happen. Yeah,
Because you're not going to be able to give up that money.
you're beholden, man.
Yeah,
That's
once
the whole
they've made that
problem.
contribution, there are certain obligations you have. This is how politics works.
Yeah.
Even when even as something as 2016 when two candidates are running for the nomination and another candidate tries to make the election more solid. I mean, this is what happened in 2016. Bernie Sanders backs Hillary Clinton and does some rallies for her, right? And usually what happens is then, okay, you made it easier for me to get the nomination without a division in our party. Then I will allow you to have some people from your from your part of the nomination in my cabinet. This is usually what's done in politics. But Hillary Clinton didn't do any of that because she's a selfish asshole.
Well, part of that, I mean, a lot of people were so not okay with how things went down with him just getting shafted to begin with.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was
it
a
would have
total
taken
bullshit.
a lot.
And Hillary Clinton is just a female version of Trump anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
also
she had the same policy on immigration almost. I mean, now she wouldn't have done, she probably would have handled the 4 years better in terms
I was
of
gonna
people
say, it would have
dying.
been-
But in terms of policy, I mean, if that's what you're rating somebody on, they were
Which is-
pretty much the same.
which is
Donald
not-
Trump had a more progressive healthcare policy, but obviously, I mean,
Well, but that's
Republicans just lie. Like, Hillary Clinton didn't really give a shit about getting everyone covered, but she did care about healthcare. It's
I
just
mean,
that
wasn't
she
that
was
like one of her big things when she was like first lady and all that?
getting, I think, children covered was a big
Yes,
thing
yeah.
back
But I
in
guess
like
that's like a-
90,
that's like
back
a-
in like 93. But the problem is that she was like,
It ain't-
she,
it ain't-
Hillary Clinton is somebody who just doesn't realize that she's standing on the shoulders of giants. In
Are you saying just Bill or like other people too?
no, not that she's standing on the shoulders of her husband, that she's standing on the shoulders of Bernie Sanders. Because
I
when
see.
she was advocating for the healthcare thing back in like 93 or whatever, she had this big back in like 2015, she had this big thing that's like, where was Bernie Sanders when Hillary Clinton was trying to get healthcare for Americans? And then people are like, well, I know you guys are just idiots, but if you look right here in this picture, where Hillary Clinton was at a rally doing this, oh, who's that right behind her? Who's that right there, right next to her? Oh,
Oh,
it's
that's
Bernie
right. Yeah, I've
Sanders.
seen this. Yeah.
Oh, he's standing right there. It's
Oh, that's
almost
we found him! Yay!
yeah, it's like a Where's Waldo, but Hillary Clinton has such like addled dementia that she forgot. I mean, obviously she didn't forget. I mean, this is just lying.
Willingly
It's
forgot.
just intentional lying to make yourself look better. But it's like, oh, if you're paying any attention, looks like it backfired. I would love the news if the news was just 24-hour callouts of bullshit. We would have the greatest country on earth.
Yeah.
If it
Well,
wasn't
I mean,
like Rupert
can't play that
Murdoch and
open.
like everybody deciding what we get to hear. So let's see. Okay, let's move away from the bigger level. Who gives a fuck about election? We got to move to the most. This is the most pressing issue in America today. Okay, this next thing that I'm going to bring up here, and I'm gonna read a statement provided by Bill Cosby's representative on Instagram. So I don't know if you know, but Weinstein was convicted.
I
He's
did.
he's
I
going
did know
he's
that.
going
Yes.
to
Yep.
he's going to the big house.
Mhm.
They found out that he's guilty of being a bad, no good guy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Bill
Fucked up
Cosby,
thing.
in solidarity with his fellow privileged rapists, he had a statement released.
Oh
And
no.
I'm going to read it to you, and then you can tell me what you think.
All right.
Okay, here's the statement. This is not shocking because these jurors were not sequestered, which gave them access to media coverage and the sentiments of public opinion. There's no way you would have anyone believe that Mr. Weinstein was going to receive a fair and impartial trial. Also, this judge showed that he wanted a conviction by sending the jurors back to deliberate after they were hung on many of the counts. Here's the question that should haunt all Americans, especially wealthy and famous men. Where do we go in this country to find fairness and impartiality in the judicial system?
Oh.
Where do we go in this country to find due process? Question mark. Lastly, if the hashtag #MeToo movement isn't just about Betty bracketed white women, I would challenge hashtag #MeToo and ask them to back 400 plus years and tarnish the names of those oppressors that raped slaves. This is a very sad day in the American judicial system.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack there,
There's a
isn't there?
lot to unpack there. I mean, they really go off the deep end with
Yeah, at the end it gets
back
crazy.
400 years. It goes fucking nuts. It's like at least it can be like pretty easy, I guess, easy to follow. Like if you like see their uh logic, I guess. I mean,
Well,
the
I mean,
funny
it's
thing
classic
is,
whataboutism. It's like you're complaining about this thing, but I didn't see you complain about this other thing, so therefore
you're
you are inconsistent.
invalidated. Yeah, yeah.
Whataboutism is a very pathetic logical attempt to call out an inconsistency in somebody's argument about words that they have not had the attempt to say. And any person with a rational mind here, considering somebody who is a part of the hashtag #MeToo movement, would be like, well, obviously all rapists are bad, and the rapes that happened 400 years ago, yeah, that was bad
Just
too.
as bad. Yeah, yeah.
It's now there's a degree of irony here that like the person that this man represents is black.
Yeah.
Like you can't use the racist argument about the Me Too movement about being
Rich.
privileged white women's problems
Yeah.
when your person who is a perpetrator of it is a part of the race of the people who you are saying being left behind.
I mean, to make Me Too a racial thing in any way is just stupid.
Yeah, it's like, well, we have some
Like,
rapists. We just
why
want to like we
go
just want to
back?
we want to take the rapists from the shadows and we want to drag them into the light. And then we have these like
Where's
giga
safe
beta
for
males
these
who are like, no,
rapists?
no, but think about the rapist's feelings. No,
Yeah,
like,
I know. Yeah, that's. I like. I mean, it's almost ironic because it's saying where is it safe for them?
yeah, where
If
is it?
not the courts,
Where can
outside of the
rich
courts where they
males in
always
America go for justice?
where they pay people off. If you're rich and if you're wealthy, especially white, and you're the chances of you actually going to court for these things are very minuscule to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, Bloomberg's
That's
got
where
like
you go.
45 NDAs. Like, he's not going to jail.
That's so crazy that
Like,
you can literally just pay away crime. I
I
love
mean,
that, man.
that's
That's
why
awesome.
that's what speeding tickets are.
Yeah.
Non-progressive fines are basically you get to live as a lawless individual if
Mhm.
you're wealthy,
Mhm.
because there's nothing stopping you from
Right.
speeding
Right.
except for a
Right.
$200 ticket. But if you make 100K a year, you don't give a fuck
Doesn't
unless
matter.
you're going to lose enough points on your car. But then you're going to be able to hire a lawyer
Just get it
to,
reduced.
well, not a lawyer. If you 100,000 probably not, but if you make like over 500,000, you're probably able to hire a lawyer that's like, well, he needs a car for this XY reason, he can't get
Yeah.
it taken
Yeah.
away for these points, blah 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 blah, all sorts of bullshit that they can
Mm.
spin up to protect their client. I just love that he's like, oh, they sent the jurors back to deliberate. It's like,
Because they
well, what
were.
else were they supposed to do?
Yeah.
Basically what he's saying is like, oh, that they didn't agree
They
after
just
the
kept.
they didn't agree after the first round of deliberation, so it should have just been a hung jury, which means that he
Right.
gets off scot-free.
Yeah.
But
No, they
the
just kept sending them back until they came back with the
yeah,
answer that he wanted.
but like
It's like the implication.
I think they deliberated for 5 days, but the trial was 7 weeks.
Wow.
So like 5 days deliberation doesn't seem
That's
ridiculous to me.
that's so that has to be a grueling time because
It is.
there's like one idiot that's just holding it all up. That's like
Yeah, this probably was the
every
case. It was probably this guy's friend.
and he had access to that individual to manipulate his opinions,
Yeah, yeah,
making
exactly.
it an unfair
Because they
trial.
weren't, as he said, they weren't sequestered. So he's like,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one guy I was paying off folded because everybody else was threatening to kick his ass. Where do rich white males and black males go to rape
Where are they
women,
supposed to
if
go?
not America? And like, the funny thing
There's
is,
nothing
like,
sacred.
the reality of this is that if you really want to rape women, there are tons of countries where you can get away with it scot free. Like, this is like the Bill Cosby's representative should probably burn in hell.
Yeah, there
Like,
it
if
is.
you are defending rapists
That was mild,
who are
actually.
convicted, you really just need to get the fuck, like, you are smoking the wrong shit, man. You are just in the wrong fucking frame of mind. And I think you really just need to stop living in a society and to start taking care of yourself.
Like the
Because,
thing is, like are they like they're not even arguing that he's a rapist, you know?
yeah,
They're
they're just
not
conceding that that's fact.
denying. It's like,
They're
well, why
conceding
are
that
you?
he is a rapist, but
God,
rapists
man, what
still
a
deserve a fair trial, which is true. And they're saying the trial wasn't fair, so that the rapist should go free. And it's like,
that's
well, how
fucking
about we do both? How about we have fair trials, but also rapists don't go free?
right,
We
right.
can do both.
That's
We
fucking.
have the technology.
We have the legal system. We
So,
have the president.
yes. So, in a related, not right state of mind, did they spell his name right here? Dylan Roof, the guy who shot up the church.
I
He
don't
shut
know.
up a black church, mind you, which I think is even more funny when he's complaining about being abused in prison. I think this was one of those guys who had direct references to like the alt-right commentators on YouTube. I'm not quite sure, but I think he had some like, it was one of those, I think it was one of those cases where Ben Shapiro was like, "Oh, don't look into him or nothing like that
Mhm.
because you'll find out that it links to me
Yeah,
and
they were,
I didn't
yeah,
cause
yeah,
this."
espousing the same bullshit we are.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not exactly sure, but I think he might have been one of those guys. But I guess he's going on a hunger strike now.
So I saw.
So,
Good for him.
how brave is that?
Stand, make a stand. You go, Kang.
Yeah, you go, man. You got it. He's gonna win, and I mean, it seems to
It's,
be just doing it's good because he'll be dead and then he'll have his values.
and we'll be paying for one less person in prison because that's the biggest
That
deal.
is a big expense. Actually, killing somebody is a huge
I
expense.
know,
So if
yeah.
he hunger strikes himself and dies, that would save taxpayer money. Because killing somebody is like, I think it costs. It's like it's a lot. It's over 100K, I think.
Do you Okay, so if we just go full bore and we're like, okay, death penalty is like totally fine. It's like that's a great idea. We should just have firing squads. Like
Yeah, that
just
would
a
be
public
cheaper.
public executions. It's so much cheaper. It's just one bullet.
Well, there's a lot to say about that. I mean, obviously, I don't think either of us are for the death penalty. I don't think the government should be killing
No, no,
anybody.
no, God, no, no.
Yeah, let's
No.
not
No, I'm
misrepresent
not.
our
Yeah, yeah.
positions.
Sorry.
We
No,
don't
I'm
believe
being
in killing
facetious.
anybody.
No, it's fuck. It's
We
no.
are
Uh,
LGBTQ plus friendly.
mhm, mhm. I
We
don't know
we
what that
lo-
has to do with the
we
death
ha-
penalty, but
we are pronoun positive,
mhm, mhm,
not
mhm.
HIV positive though.
Mm-mm,
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 mm-mm.
mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's just make that clear. We don't want to set the wrong tone here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. My apologies.
but this is something that Noam Chomsky talks about, I think, which is, we used to have these hanging squares where we would hang people in public, and that's a direct show that the power of the
Yes.
government has
Yeah.
over you, right?
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't think it's Chomsky. I'm pretty sure it's
I was gonna say it doesn't sound like.
fuck. Who's
I
the guy
mean,
who wrote about the panopticon? That he's the French guy. Faucul.
Foucault.
I don't fucking know his name. It's if you just Google panopticon French guy, you'll fucking find it. Anyway, he talks about how the power of the state has shifted from something that is in your face and you see to something that is subverted and that is kept away, and the power is now in the perception of your wrongdoing, and that the society is what keeps the power of the government in check because each person is watching each other
Mm-hmm.
in a way to control behavior. The one failing, I think, of Foucault,
It's F-O. Oh, I just looked it up. Fuck, man.
Foucault. I don't
It's that, but I would think you wouldn't pronounce the T at the end if it's French. So it'd be like
Foucault,
Foucault or
Foucault,
some shit like that.
Foucault. I don't fucking know.
They got it.
F guy.
F man.
The one thing many professors have said is that F guy never actually said if this is good or bad or what is good or bad. He never made any moral things about it. He just kind of talked about it. So he's basically a really shitty historian. But it's interesting. It's the Panopticon is an interesting thing to read about, and it has a lot of related, especially with the internet, related issues and how people behave, the culture of keeping people within the realm of accepted behavior, and
So
how we create communities where the unaccepted behaviors become accepted.
you're basically talking about like community policing, right? Like just like looking
Yeah,
out.
I mean it's kind of like if you're like smoking a cigarette indoors and people will give you bad looks.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's like an innocuous version of like the
yeah,
panopticon thought,
yeah.
but it gets more. It's I think it makes more sense in EU countries where they have CCTV in most like
Everywhere.
public areas,
Yeah.
that like even if you're actually not being recorded, the perception of being recorded changes your
Right.
behavior.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I see this at work all the time. I mean, there could be a door that's not locked, but
Mm-hmm.
if their perception that the door is locked,
Mm-hmm.
everyone they will assume the door is locked,
Yeah.
and they won't do anything about it. Even if they could just like even if they could like
Oh, I
walk
see.
out or like not that like leave the building, but there are like certain doors that are like locked, and even if it wasn't locked, everyone would treat it as it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your belief
Yes.
changes your behavior.
Well, I mean, you are your own biggest obstacle.
Yeah,
You're not.
in some ways.
Yeah.
So
You're
what?
your own thinking.
I realize how man we got through so much so slowly, but that's fine. Let's see what's the next funniest thing we can talk about. Should we talk about Arthur Donald?
I thought that's where you were going next when you were talking about wrong frame of mind.
Yeah, well, That would have been a good. Well, Arthur Donald has no frame of mind. I don't think they have. They don't have a
I don't
theory
think
of mind. They don't know that other people exist.
other people have thoughts. Yeah,
Yeah, like
true.
Republicans don't actually know other people have thoughts and brains. They think that they're the only thinking individuals. They're all living in like a solipsistic nightmare, essentially, where
This is
like
a
only their reality exists and anything else in their path is just like a policy change waiting to happen. Like, oh, gay marriage
this
policy, slap that down, and then there won't be homosexuality anymore. You know, like they're just gonna like change
right,
people through
right.
policy and damn the consequences. Like that's their thoughts.
Mhm.
But so I guess there was some controversy on Reddit earlier this week or some shit where the the biggest redditor, Uspez, he basically did some kind of thing on R the Donald where if you upvote posts on R the Donald, you'll get flagged for being a bad redditor, I guess, or something. I'm not sure how real it is, but it's one of those like white fragility things where it's like, oh my god, my racism and transphobia is being called out. I need to retreat back to my safe space. So I guess we should really just go over one of the highlighting posts, which was Are the Donald attempting to make amends with Reddit by upvoting a picture of Michelle Obama. But the problem is that it wasn't a picture of Michelle Obama. It was a picture of Terry Crews.
God, it's so dumb.
Now, if you don't know anything, Terry Crews is a sexual assault victim himself and
Mhm.
is, I'm pretty sure, anti Donald Trump.
He has to be.
So for the Donald, it hits both ways because one, they're
It's like they're fighting
saying
their
a
own
man
battles.
looks like a woman who doesn't, and they're saying a woman looks like a man. And the implicit argument in the post is that one, men shouldn't look like women. Two, if a man looks like a woman, that they are inherently ugly. And three, transphobia is funny. He he he. Like
How
that's the core idea.
I don't get how someone can think Terry Crews looks like a woman though.
Well,
Dude's
he
both
did
a
wear a wig
shit.
once in a movie where he wasn't a woman. If you remember, I think he was the
Well, was
president.
that in white? Oh, oh yeah. I thought you were talking about white chicks. I'm like,
Wait, he
I
was in
forgot he
White
wore a wig
Chicks?
in that one. I don't know. I don't know who the two people who were in White Chicks were.
I don't know either. Well, he wasn't he the
He
president?
was in White
Camacho,
Chicks.
President
He was.
Camacho, and he
He was
wore a wig.
President. Like Jose Mountain Dew Camacho or whatever. Yeah.
That is his
He
new
did wear
name.
a wig. Yeah. But he's still a buff dude. I wouldn't think. At any rate.
Yeah. Well, so I guess you're not you and people listening probably don't actually know this, but there is a joke among right-leaning communities that Michelle Obama is secretly a man.
I've seen that.
If you
Yeah.
see if you've seen
Yeah.
that one, so people who don't know this concept goes as far as it's going to get a little racist. I apologize, but there are people in the right-leaning community that believe that Michelle Obama is actually like a monkey. Like it's the
So
typical like black
bizarre.
people are monkeys joke.
I know. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that
Like doesn't
says it gets that far
it
where
doesn't
they.
go any further than that.
I
Like
mean, I don't
in
know
thinking.
how far like
Well, I'm
she's.
saying in thinking and like
Oh
cognitively,
yeah,
like they don't think anything past that. Like,
like
yep,
they don't
monkeys. Yep,
understand
it's
like
good. Checked out.
evolution.
Check-
I don't know, but it's pretty fucking racist and fucked up. Like now, it's funny because in some of their transphobic posts this week, they've had some commenters who are like, you
I know.
know, I don't care what they do. I just hate when it's forced on other people.
That's such a like. Who is forcing these things?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
You have to
okay,
seek it
so the
out
forcing,
sometimes,
so
man.
I not I think Republicans are fucking stupid, but to explain their dumb point, it's that to a Republican, when there's like a bathroom is like unisex or some shit,
Hmm.
that would be forcing it to them,
I guess.
which is like, because I mean, part of it they're like, oh, my daughter's gonna get raped by trans men
Right.
or something,
Right.
and it's
So is it okay? Like in terms of a unisex bathroom, is it like there are multiple stalls in it, or is it just one of those like family ones where it's just like a toilet
Well, I
and
think what
sink?
happens is I think they're seeing family ones and they're getting confused.
They're freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but not every state mandates changing rooms in male and female bathrooms, which has a sexist implication that the woman is
Right.
supposed
That
to
the woman's
take
always
care of the
the.
child. And it's like, if you're a man, you have to go in there in the female one then, and because that's
I've
the only
never
changing
even. I
station.
haven't thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Not every state has that as a baseline for their bathrooms.
Yeah. That's
And
pretty
that's
fucked up,
fucked
man.
up, you know? Because, like, if you're a guy, if you're a single dad, like, where are the men's right activists caring about
I
that? You
yeah. Hey,
know?
maybe that's a start.
Well, the problem
Well,
is, I
but they
mean,
only care about stupid shit. Like.
well, I mean, if you're a men's right activist, you're probably not having sex and you probably don't have kids. So, like, you don't ever have to come into contact with any
Right.
actual issues.
Right.
Now, there are problems in that men's rights need to exist for, but MRA people generally are miles away from actually considering the real issues that men have to go through and instead are focused on niche alt-right fucking rabbit hole shit where
Like
they
what?
just want to hate
Give
women.
some examples.
Um, Let me think here.
Ugh.
It's been a while since I've hung out with MRAs. Uh,
I can't even like think of any. That's why I'm asking. So I'm sorry for
like
putting you on the
a
spot.
lot of the times they like the only one that comes out as like being not insane is like when they care about child parental rights for like the
Well,
kid.
okay, yeah, yeah,
That's like the
yeah.
one
That's
thing
legit.
where they're
I
like,
feel like there
oh,
is kind of that stigma.
that's like the one thing that men's rights activists seem to be the
They're right on.
cornerstone issue that is like, oh yeah, that's okay.
They're on the right side on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like insane things that um a woman who divorces her husband should not get benefits.
Okay.
A woman should not be able to claim rape against her husband. A woman
You gave up. You gave up that right, dude.
yeah,
When you
like
put that ring on, it's mine.
yeah, it's mine. I
No,
mean, they want to go back to white southerner morality and legal code, which is what the law was back then.
Do they want the father of the bride to give a dowry as well?
They probably would. I don't know. I'm gonna go to Reddit right now and see what they're. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's in France.
Oh, okay. So it
They
looks
could
like
probably.
men's rights activists really hate female. They really hate rapists being called out for raping.
Oh, well, obviously, because
Yeah, they seem
reasons.
to be fully obsessed with having to pay child support and hating women accusing them of rape. And that's pretty much every post. And videos where
It's just literally their.
Taylor Swift hates men, the Gillette ad, any basically this is male fragility essentially is that anything that encroaches upon the heteronormative idea of the high school quarterback jock that is too far and you need to get out of the men's rights activist safe space bubble if you are encroaching on that because that's what it seems like it comes down to. And that was a quick glance.
Yeah. Is it always the man who has to pay child support? Is that is that like a de facto rule
No,
or?
it's
I
whoever
never just
has
put any thought into
custody.
whoever has the. Oh, okay. Oh, go on.
It's I mean the code was written with deadbeat dads in mind. I mean
Yeah.
the language used by Bill Clinton is deadbeat dads.
That's awesome.
The implication is that there
It's
are
not even
men
an
who can pay but
implication.
won't.
It's
I mean that's
straight.
literally what he says when he's talking
It's
about it.
it's right there, black and white, clear as day.
Yeah, like you can't get around it. I mean, so that is an unfortunate conception of the American family,
Hmm.
is that
Hmm.
children are something saddled to women, and And my argument
They're caregivers.
psychologically why that happens is because a woman becomes a mom, like a lady becomes a mom when she's pregnant,
Yeah.
but a dad doesn't become a father until he like sees his kid. But the problem is that in these circumstances where there's like instability or not marriage, the dad never really gets to become a dad. One, because he might not be around, there's instability in the relationship, or two, the dad has to work. And because the dad has to
Right.
work, he has less bonding time with the child.
Yes.
That's
Yes. I
why
think about that one a lot.
full leave for men and women
Yeah.
needs to be a
Yeah.
thing.
You're legit. Straight
Because
up.
without that, then we're gonna have sexist outcomes in the economy.
Well, dude, imagine families that have both parents that have to work. Like,
I mean,
that's
that's like
not
every
good.
family.
I know. That's so not good for a kid, man. Like, those years are so important for development, and then they're just living their lives with just this, like, general sense of, I want to say sadness, but
It's a higher level
they
of stress.
lose,
I mean, because you go
they
to
lose
your
a lot
shitty
of
job that doesn't
compassion.
work around your schedule. You get stressed out. You come home and then you beat your kid.
Yeah.
You know,
And then the cycle continues.
yeah. Then the kid dies and you have another one. You beat that one too. It's called
To
sudden
death.
infant death syndrome, SIDS. I think SIDS. I mean, it's SIDS sounds like a really strange thing because it's just like, oh, the kid just died.
It
And
just,
now,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
feel like part of it is like, oh, the kid just died. It's nobody's fault. And it
It
tries to
was
like, oh, like it tries to not attach
minimized.
blame to a horrible tragedy. But
Yeah.
then there's like some institutions. I mean, obviously they like look and you can see like, oh yeah, the kid got like beat up or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like that happens all the time. But I'm talking about in the olden days
I
where
feel like there's a lot of just like
where you
kind of
wouldn't be able to tell
yeah, yeah,
how the kid died.
yeah.
And then I just imagine this kind of like swindler family that like, oh, oh,
I can't
I don't know
believe.
what happened. They're like, oh, must have been sudden infant death syndrome. And they're like, yeah, doctor, that was it. We
Yeah,
didn't kill
just
him or
yeah,
do nothing, you know? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is just like a complete hypothetical,
Oh, I know, I know.
ridiculous scenario, but
No, this happened.
I
I
always
saw it
think
my
it's
time machine.
funny. I always think it's funny to think how some things play out in the past and what must have happened to cause it to change. You know,
Yeah,
like until we had like people examine bodies, like how did they know
everyone just
how
took it,
somebody
just
died?
took it for granted.
Like
Like either like a witness said or they just didn't give a shit. Like they just couldn't.
like,
Couldn't
they,
do any,
like
well,
there's
they
like a
couldn't do
like there's like
anything.
a chute, like a library book chute, and you just like slide the corpse down,
Well, this
and then
another
like
one.
you attach a note on the foot that's like, oh, died from
Question mark.
choking.
It's just three question marks.
It's like
And
died from
another one
choking.
down, and another one down, another one bites the dust.
Like that was how they disposed of corpses. That you took them to the local library, you put them down the chute, and you attached a note how they died. And then they're like, oh, that's what we put in the record books. They died choking, even though there's like bruises all over the body and everything.
But we're only going to write down the choking because that's what was told to us by the person who brought him in.
That would make sense. Oh yeah, I forgot. We have to, you know. Oh, let's just keep going for it. Who gives a fuck, right?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, who
What were you
cares?
thinking?
Yeah. Well, I forgot we had like segments to do. We've just been talking the whole time.
Well, I mean, the segments are all de facto. I mean, we've kind of segmented it. You
Yeah,
know, we
we
had
did some of them. Okay, let's move on to something a little more fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Let's move on to a segment here where we watch them. Well, we don't watch the movie. Sean is gonna go read 1-star reviews of an objectively good movie, and I'm gonna guess what the movie is.
yeah. Okay, this is a pretty easy one,
Okay,
but
good.
I just love the reviews for it. Like I don't know.
I don't know how
It
anyone
never
couldn't.
it never gets old to me.
I feel like I already know.
Well, I mean, I set it up pretty well.
Okay, well let's just start reading some.
Okay, let's see. Dot dot dot. Where to start? The ghost is wearing a white sheet. The scenes are torturously slow. Thought we hit the pause button several times before the character, or excuse me, because the characters and scenes weren't moving at all for minutes. Dot dot dot. A minute is a very long time in film.
Imagine being so ADD that
I
like you can't sit for a minute
a minute is
and
a
like
long
think.
time. Oh, they continue. I'm seriously wondering if this is a joke. Seriously, A dude wearing a white sheet with black holes for his eyes? Spare me any rationale that this is an in-depth movie about grief or eternal love. If you want that, go watch the original Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. It was exquisitely done. And then they spelled, small detail, they spelled Patrick Swayze with an I-E, which it just doesn't look
Swayze?
Like yeah, Swayze. But I looked it up, and Patrick Swayze is just spelled Swayze, so it's like just a small detail. I felt my life drain away in the excruciatingly slow scenes.
This movie sounds like it's pretty boring. I don't know how could it be good.
This review is titled "The Most Childish, Boring Movie I Ever Had Seen!" Exclamation mark. 0 star if I could, and they spelled boring as in like the animal boring.
BOAR.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
WTH.
I would like to. What is it? What do I do? Do I phone a vowel? Is that how I answer?
What?
How do I answer? I wanna guess the movie.
Oh, you want to guess? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we can do some more, but I think I got it.
Yeah,
Is it a ghost story?
This is the reviews for A Ghost Story. Small detail. Actually, well, hey, good for them. Because I remember when the movie came out, it was almost like 50-50 for like 5-star and 1-star reviews. Like,
which way has it shifted?
There wasn't much in between. Take a guess. And I'll
I'm praying that there is a 90-10 split in favor of 1-star reviews.
Oh no, it's 44% 5-star and 30% 1-star.
Oh, so more
people liked it than
more idiots liked it.
Yeah, more fucking pretentious assholes.
Yeah, more idiots, more stupid people like ourselves.
More dummies.
The really stupids.
Big dum-dums that.
And if you 1-star it, you're an intellectual.
Yeah, you're a stable genius that cannot sit still for one whole movie minute. What the hell? I couldn't even watch more than 15 minutes, and I watched 15 minutes hoping it would get better. This movie is so slow. Like, come on, you don't need a minute and a half of a scene. What? No, did I read this? Like, come on, you don't need a minute and a half of a scene! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
He must have been talking about that one scene that was a minute long where nothing happened.
I couldn't continue watching. Then when the man got up and started walking with the blanket and the holes for eyes, and then he spelled holes WHOLES, like a hole of something. WHOLES, like hole, like the whole.
WH. What is wrong? Why is there such a high correlation with being not able to spell, and 1-star reviews for Ghost Story?
Oh, I wonder.
What is the correlation there?
Really, if it's a ghost, why? Oh, this is awesome. Really, if it's a ghost, why does he need to drag a blanket around? Was this produced by elementary kids? Because that's what it looked like. And then this. Okay, I'll end it on this one because I think this is one of the most legitimate reasons to give it a 1-star. This is fucking awesome. This is a 1-star review, and the title is "No Slipcover!" caps lock. And get this, they said "Great movie!" exclamation mark. 1 star is for Amazon for not including the slipcover. I've seen this movie out in stores on multiple occasions, always with the slipcover. Stop doing this, Amazon. ... Include the slipcovers. ... They gave it a 1 star because it didn't have like the
stupid artwork that goes along the bendy thing. It's like the book cover essentially.
It goes in the front, yeah.
I could see somebody like that giving a shit about that, giving it a 1 star because they're buying it to put on their shelf and show people.
Right.
I understand that is a legitimate reason to give a movie a 1 star. And in fact, anytime I get a product that is objectively good but is missing some
poorly packaged or whatever,
unrelated part that doesn't really matter in the functioning of the thing, I give it a 1-star review too.
I do too. I'm just
I'm glad we're on the same page about this.
they're definitely going to take that into consideration uh because it got a 1 star. Amazon's gonna definitely stop doing that with their slipcovers.
Yeah, I know.
Great,
And then he's also brave
great work, Len Endrum.
because he's staging a protest and a revolution
He is. So
in the Amazon reviews.
4 people found it pretty helpful.
4 people are joining his protest. You're laughing, but the next
He's
time you click that, it's gonna be
I'm
5.
I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable with how right he is.
You're uncomfortable with how violent the protest is getting,
Is how it's yeah how
and
there's so many
you're
people
considering
rallying
voting
to
for
his
Michael
cause.
Bloomberg.
What do you think Mike Bloomberg would put a slipcover on his letters
No,
that
to
he
save
sends to me?
expenses, he ships all his movies without slipcovers.
Oh no, I don't
Yeah.
know if I can
He's
get
now
behind that.
so he doesn't match up on this guy's policy, but don't worry, on all the other ones I'm sure that guy cares about, he's 100% matched.
He had me on the gay ice cream, but I don't
But then
know.
lost you on movie
No
slipcovers.
slipcovers. I'm really conflicted. This is he's making a strange coalition right now. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know if I
it's
fall
like a
under
teeter totter. You know, it's a waffle waffle, and you know it's and it would make more sense if he was eating the ice cream out of a waffle cone, but he wasn't. He ate it out of the container like some
That
kind of
would have
savage
been
monster.
that would have been properly symbolic. Do you remember those shitty ice creams that we would get in like elementary school that had the wooden
Oh,
spoon?
and the swirl.
That was so fucking awful, man. I hated that
Dude,
so
I
much.
remember thinking those were like a treat, and I think if I had one now, I would just not eat
You
it.
thought that was a treat?
Well, like as a
I thought it was a
kid, I thought it was
I
like
thought it
a
was a
treat.
punishment even as a kid. I did not
Oh
like it. I
man.
hate it. Dude, the spoon was just tasted fucking
Yeah, the
disgusting.
spoon fucking
That
was
was the
awful. The
worst
spoon
part. I
literally
was like,
tasted like
why do
wood
we
that was dragged over a cow's ass.
why why did you ruin this delicious treat? I mean, it was a treat, but the spoon, like the apparatus that I had to that it was forced upon me to eat it with, just ruined it.
Yeah, they put on some dumb shit. The fucking that wooden spoon. I'm surprised nobody got a splinter and died from that.
I always thought that too. I was like, this can't be safe,
But they're
but
giving
I'm
it to
also
you.
really stupid.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it's time we go. We got to
Is there
reclaim our
that next?
intelligence, okay?
Okay, great.
So we got to go to a segment that is philosophically charged.
Oh,
Some of
awesome.
you might have heard of
God, I can't
this, the
wait.
5 people that are watching.
Wow,
They're,
that's really
we,
legitimate.
we used to run, we used to have a YouTube series called No Way Out that was very controversial for its time. But we've retooled it to be more progressive.
You reeled in a little bit.
Yeah, we reeled it in a little bit, reeled it back in, yeah, and we're just about to catch it because it's a fish. And so essentially, what's going to happen is I'm going to pose a scenario to Sean here, and he's just going to have to think his way out of it. It's going to be a philosophically minded situation. He's going to have a lot of things to consider, and I don't know. He might laugh. I don't know. But so let's go. So here's the situation. You're on the phone. You've applied for a job, and they've emailed you asking you to set up a phone interview. You've done that. You're now on the phone interview, and about 30 seconds into talking with the lady at the company, she just stops and because you were responding to one of her questions, she just stops to ask if you're calling from an Obama phone,
Okay.
and you want to get the job, but you gotta satisfactorily answer her question if you're
Okay.
calling from an Obama phone.
So am I allowed to ask questions?
Oh yeah, you can,
To get
yeah,
more
yeah.
context.
So
Okay.
so it's like, okay, so sir, excuse me, are you calling from an Obama phone?
Excuse me?
An Obama
What?
phone, sir. Have you heard of them?
I have, but maybe just kind of refresh my memory. I'm not
Yes,
too.
yes. There's these cheap phones that Obama hands out to poor people, and they don't sound quite right, and they have certain texting limitations that would make it hard to work at this job. And I'm just concerned that you're calling from an Obama phone.
Mm-hmm. Um, I am not sure how
I'm
the
not
cell
feeling very
phone.
confident in your ability to answer this question, whether you are or not calling from an Obama phone, sir.
Okay, I can assure you, 100%. Do you have a problem with Obama phones? Is that
No,
not
our
a good
company does
thing?
not discriminate against Obama phones, but it does make working at this company incredibly difficult if you
Rather
have an Obama
difficult.
phone.
Okay, I can assure you 100% without question that I am not calling on an Obama phone. I'm actually calling on a.
Your friend's Obama phone, is that it?
Actually, I found this phone in the street. It could be an Obama phone. I'm not too sure. I'm actually in between jobs right now. This is why I'm looking
And you're
for
in
this.
between phones too?
I'm in between phone services. I'm in between a rock and a hard place, as it were. Uh, I can tell you that I'm pretty sure it's not an Obama phone because it doesn't have a direct link to
To the White House?
the EBT. Yeah, the
The
White
EBT
House.
awards?
Well, not the
No,
BET
the
awards.
BET awards? Fuck.
The EBT website to see where I can and cannot
So I'm not
purchase
sure about this, but I think you're
cigarettes.
implying that Obama phones are just for black people and they're actually just for poor people. I think
Oh,
you have
okay.
the wrong conception here.
I'm not the one who put the implication that black people are poor people. I'm saying that I just found this off the street where predominantly poor people live.
And what's the color of the skin of those poor people, sir?
I don't really look around. I don't really ask. I don't. It's a lot. It's a really mixed neighborhood. It's a wonderful tapestry that I've seen.
Sir, do
But
you even live in that
little that
neighborhood?
I don't live in the neighborhood. No, I was
Are
on
you
my way.
homeless, sir?
I is this important to the interview? Is
Yes, every employee here needs to have a
every
house.
yes. I live in that neighborhood. You could say that.
Okay, perfect. You're hired. You got the job.
Oh, thank God. Hell yeah. That one was painful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Like some of that stuff is actually real, where it's like they.
Man,
Like, I think it's so
you
funny
know,
that like a job requires you to have a house.
that's odd. Like
Yeah,
if you think about it, I mean, I guess I get the logic, but
yeah, but it's
why,
like
why do you give a shit?
it's
Maybe
one
they
of those
come in.
market externalities that like doesn't fix itself ever. Like if you're
Right,
homeless and a job requires you to have a home, you're never gonna be.
right.
It's like
Gonna
you
get the
need
home.
experience to get a
Yep.
job times 10 times a million
Yeah.
because like
How are you gonna get the
how
home?
are you gonna get housing? You
And
know,
everyone hates the poor because they think that just in that position because they
because
suck.
they chose to be there.
Yeah, one way or another they wanted to. They willed it that way.
Yeah, dog, I chose to be this poor. Come on, who didn't? Oh man, I think that was pretty good. I think you stayed confident against the racist interviewer's accusations.
Hmm.
She was really just trying to fish out if you were African American because she was
Oh,
racist.
was it? Wow,
Yeah,
I thought it was part
yeah.
of affirmative action.
Well, see, that was why they accepted you initially.
Okay.
But then the lady, she was just she was trying to sniff out in her own racist way, in a very explicit way,
Hmm.
if you were somebody that she deemed less desirable.
I see.
Yeah. So
And
hopefully
since
our
that,
mockery of racism has enlightened or has some shown some light on actual because you think so like so the real actual situation that exists on our fanciful one is like you have an Obama phone. It sucks. It only texts. You don't have access to internet. If you've like worked some of these jobs, like some of these places, they require you to download like apps and shit.
yeah,
Like if you have to download an app on an Obama phone that only has like only flip phone capabilities, you're fucked. You know, like you just
right.
can't do that job. Like it's pretty crazy. And and we have discriminations that go on against people who are in circumstances where they have those kinds of phones like that and they aren't able to communicate with their job in the way that they need to be successful at that job. And then of course the place of employment doesn't give a shit because it's like, oh, this guy's too hard to work with, fire him. You know, like
Mhm.
that's shit that happens. So
What kind of
I
jobs do you think homeless people are trying to be doing where they need nice phones like this? Like a
n-
smartphone, let's
a
say.
smart, well, I don't know, I mean, the, Like if you
I
work
guess
at
any
if you work at
office job.
Hy-Vee, if you work at a lot of these places, like if you want to see your scheduling, like you have to like download like their stupid app thing and then go on
Yeah.
there. And like
Yeah.
they're not going to take your call because like they're already like, you know, their home office corporate, the
Right.
corporate office is already like stranglehold like all the hours the managers and everybody gets, so much so that like you can't even have a second to call your manager and ask or anything like that. You know, like, and if you don't, you know, it's not just one thing. It's the opposite of the Linkin Park song, you know? It's not one thing. It's like a whole host of like, oh, like if you're in this situation, you probably don't have like you're probably not good at like remembering stuff. You're probably not a good note taker. You probably have a lot of problems. So like you're not gonna like, oh, I work these days. Let me write that down. And even if you do
Right.
write it down, you might leave it on the bus. Like I see people leave shit on the bus all the fucking time.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
problem is that rich, poor, smart, dumb, everybody makes mistakes. But the problem is that if you are poor, if you are
It's more
like,
punishing.
it's more punishing.
Hmm.
You can't afford to make those mistakes. But the problem
Yeah.
is that when they make the mistakes, it's a bigger reset for their
Right.
life and the progress
Right.
than it is for anybody else.
Right.
So I think that is the most intelligent uh, concept of the ridiculous situation that we just posed.
Yeah, that was a really good thing to glean from that, because honestly, that was really big brained.
It was too big
It's
brained.
top it was
Remember, we are
top
really
top
stupid.
tier.
One of-
I think that's a given.
Okay, so we have one more thing here. We have a viewer suggested, even though this is episode one, we
I
already
don't
have
under
viewers suggesting in to do shit. And so we just got one last thing here to do.
Strange,
We gotta
huh?
watch. We're gonna watch some.
What are we actually watching? I'm
Here, I'll
still
send you the link. We're
okay.
watching a
Thank you.
lady. I think it's a lady. I don't mean to assume.
You shouldn't just. We're watching an individual.
We're watching. That's very correct. Thank you. We're watching an individual. She seems to have feminine features and a feminine voice, but I am not trying to presume here. I'm just trying to describe to the audience in a
This
descriptive
is half
fashion.
an hour.
And well, we're not going to watch all of it. We'll just skip around.
What
But
is
anyway, this is our viewer
monster?
call-in activity. You know, if you want us to talk about something, we'll talk about it. If you want us to
Hmm.
watch something, we'll check it out and we'll watch a little bit of it. And
Hmm.
so we're just gonna like watch through here and like just check out what we have to watch. So I mean, let's see. I think I have a moment right here at 9:45. So I mean, let's see what's going on here. The video is titled "I stayed at the worst reviewed motel in my city." And let's see what she's talking about at 9:42.
Have a
Okay.
lube.
She's got lube.
No one wants to fuck me anymore.
Wow.
No one wants to fuck her.
Nobody wants to fuck her anymore. Now, no, let's just take a
What is
poll.
happening?
Do you want to fuck her?
No.
Someone spread a rumor
Someone spread
that
a
I got
rumor
the herp
that she
That
got
bitch
the
swear.
herp.
I can't
herp.
tell if
Like,
she's.
what the fuck? No
Is
one
she
wants
being
to fuck
serious or
me.
not? I can't. Like, I obviously came in
And this guy,
9 minutes.
Well, she's like crying now.
this guy fucked me like a couple times. Like
Do
a
you
few
see
weeks
it? I
ago,
mean,
and
do you hear the story?
tell me why he treated me like a whore. He put a condom on his dick before I sucked
I
it.
can't.
He thought my mouth was in.
Wow.
Yeah, see, that was fake. I knew it.
It was
She's
fake. What happened? What part
the
did you go to?
character. I didn't. I was at like 10 minutes when she was like fake crying. Then she just broke out of the character at like 10.
Well, she could be. She could have some problems.
Well, clearly has some problems.
But let's just assess what she's talking about. She thinks that she's that this guy thinks that she's a whore because he wanted to put on a condom for oral sex.
That's strange. I don't know about that, man.
I mean, I feel like it feels pretty weird. I mean, I think
I mean,
in far as
like,
safe sex goes, that's another form of safe sex. It's kind of, I don't know. It cannot be
like,
fun to put in your mouth unless you get like some kind of
yeah,
flavored one,
yeah.
right?
That's like it's just ruins. It makes it awful for everyone. At least
Yeah,
if
I
you're
don't know.
doing vaginal, it's like at least like something's going on, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
like it's the worst of both worlds for women if they have to.
So you're saying
with the condom
you're on her side.
I'm on Team Sagittarius. Women should not have to suck dick with condoms on them. But I also believe in wholly safe sex. So
So you're
I don't know.
somewhere
You just gotta
somewhere
make it.
in the middle. You
Well,
you
you
don't want to
gotta-
hurt her feelings, but
just
you also
gotta
want to
do what
protect
works
yourself.
Best for you.
Let's see. What does she say? Anything else that's crazy? No, she's just like
What the fuck?
she's just
He
moaning.
doesn't deserve that. Do I even have any cups in here?
Wow, that was disgusting. She just like,
am I making
yeah,
this
you're right.
so
She breaks character, looks around, and then
I
burps.
play too much.
Yeah.
I definitely play too much. I should be doing something productive right now,
No,
like
she's talking about
buying
getting
an AC,
like.
working out.
I don't think she's ever worked out. Can we like look at? Is there a part where she doesn't have her like
Is this whole
chin?
video just a stream
Oh.
of consciousness? Like she's just.
Oh, she's
Oh,
rather.
She talking to an audience.
Y'all gotta follow my Instagram because
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's just like
I've been
talking
drunk,
about
going on live and doing, like,
her
weird ass shit. That's
weird ass shit
somehow entertaining for
experiences.
everyone else.
Oh, she has a rather large hand. Oh, she's trying to look cute at
really
at
look
5:38.
What do you mean trying?
You're this is fucking, you know, I feel like this video is one of my greatest tests, because I think our viewers don't know, but back in high school there was a girl who was obsessed to me, and
Bad horn.
what was her name?
I don't know her. I mean, I think I do know her real name.
Well, I mean, I want to know her colloquial name.
Yeah, her colloquial name was Fat Whore.
So I want to take the time to apologize. Now, we never called this to her face, and
Oh,
we
God.
never, and we would say, you know, no woman is a whore.
No.
That's something we believe. But at the same time, this girl who was obsessed to me in high school, we would snicker when talking to each other in private that her name was Fat Whore.
And we were also dumb high schoolers, so.
That is true. And now we have not grown from that. And this lady, she is giving me PTSD flashbacks about that girl in high school.
FWTD, right? SD.
What I don't know. What,
I
fast
don't know, I was trying to
forward
do,
dick
like,
drive.
Or,
Oh,
that's fast order or something.
fast forward dick drive. Oh no, she's like
Okay, where does she look even cuter?
5:38.
Got it. Ooh.
I think she's vomiting in the toilet at 20 minutes. Or no, she's drinking out of a sink. Or sucking dick. Oh, she's choking drinking water out of a sink because she probably doesn't drink a lot of. Oh, her tongue is disgusting. Stop showing me your. Oh god, I'm gonna vomit. Okay, I've had enough of this. So.
Oh,
Okay.
dude, at
Oh, no.
14:22, 23.
Oh gosh, what happened? Oh good, she's showing me her drugs.
She's showing pills. Isn't that what
Diazepam.
Peterson was addicted to?
Clonazepam. I know
Did you
that
hear
drug.
about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. I think he was clonazepam. A lot of guys at work take this. What is this? Is this seizures, panic disorders, and anxiety? Oh, it's a sedative. Man, it's a controlled substance. What the fuck? But yeah, wow. No wonder she's having all these stream of consciousness or a stream of feces talks.
I think she's talking to an audience, dude. I think it's
Is
like
it? You think it's like a
live
streamed
stream.
video?
I think it's like a live stream, cause in the other video that I saw of her, where apparently she said a really naughty word. It was like she was talking to somebody else, like talking, like they were having like
Oh.
a video conversation back and forth. Then there was a chat under it.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's what she's.
And she
talking.
says hi to a certain individual.
Yeah, she says something to someone, and I don't want to get into it. It was naughty and really not.
Well, we don't support that here. We
do
are
not
we are
support
lib
that,
cucks.
Peterson. We are.
We are awaiting an Ayn Randian libertarian Ubermensch superhero to come and destroy us utterly in the comments about how we are
Please do us
dumb
all
gay
harm.
cucks and
Yes,
deserve to
please
burn
do
in
us harm.
hell.
We are.
And
yes.
now I am only saying gay because the person who falls under that criteria would believe gay is an insult, but that's not what we think.
Yeah. We think it's
So,
a beautiful thing.
Yeah. You
No,
think
that's
you should,
not that there's anything wrong with it. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
exactly. That's the Seinfeld bit.
The Seinfeld reference, yeah. Yeah, to our people that aren't old fucks, I guess. It
Yeah,
hurts me,
man,
man.
do you think, man, there are people that don't know Seinfeld. It's so sad.
I know. A lot. There's a lot of them, and they're all relevant now.
Okay,
like-
I think for our final thing, we should put two stories together, and we have to decide which one is the more the more damaging, the worser one.
Okay.
Okay, so
In
story.
what regard? Like damaging?
Just
life?
that offends your soul.
Okay, good.
Okay, so
Great.
you need to think
Ugh.
spiritually for this one. Okay, so let
All
me just
right.
go through these stories here. Okay, so story number one.
Mhm.
Mike Bloomberg's office in Flint, Michigan has been defaced, and somebody put "Eat the Rich" on top of the glass.
No.
So that's story number one.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so story number two. Um, the British passport system does not recognize female black lips because this individual lady, her lips are rather large. And because the software was probably created for white faces, they never anticipated somebody who has wider lips. So it thinks her mouth is open and it won't allow her to do whatever she needs to do to move on through the process because her mouth is open, even though her mouth is closed.
Yeah.
So which one do you think? Which one hurts your soul more?
Which one hurts my soul?
Yeah,
Well,
poor Mike Bloomberg in Flint, Michigan, getting his campaign office defaced with "Eat the Rich," or technology that discriminates against black people.
well, I mean, it's such a strange uh world that we live in, where like because things are like so many things are automated like that, that there's no way you can just go in and like fix it, I guess. You know? The second one hurts me. It hurts me a lot.
So you're talking
Kind of fucked up.
the black technology
The
racism.
anti-black technology. I mean, it's not racism. It's just
Well, I think it is because the people who
programming
make the stuff don't didn't
corrected or whatever.
didn't anticipate that people would look like when you make this stuff, you
Yeah, I'm too
use
dumb to
certain referential
recognize.
faces,
Yeah.
you know?
True. Okay.
So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you're crafting how the machine recognizes an open mouth versus a closed mouth, you're going to test it against certain faces to make sure that it's working the way that it should. And clearly the people that made the program made it such that it worked on people that probably looked like them, and most
Right.
of the people that go into tech are like, white guys.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that because of, this is an example actually where diversity is an issue because the lack of diversity meant that a system only works for the people that are
Right.
of the culture that
Generation.
created, and it is unable to actually recognize how other races look. It's rather fucked up. So I think this is one of the few black Twitter, was it black Twitter Reddit, black people Twitter,
Black
that's
people
actually pretty on the ball as far as politics. Sometimes their posts are a little
It can get a little hot.
little
steamy.
they border on like anti-women and homophobic sometimes, but this
Well,
one
I mean,
this one's
that's-
pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's another whole other thing. I don't
That's
even
a whole
want
can
to.
of
That's for
worms.
them to deal with.
Yeah,
I ain't even
yeah,
touching
yeah.
touching that. That's for
That's
them to deal with. I'm not
other-
even. I don't even know how to talk about it. Yeah, it's just like all those white people that don't know how to talk about race and racism to their children. I don't know how to talk about homophobia in the black community. They they can deal with that. But it seems like it's getting better though. I mean,
That reminds me of
we got that guy who with the horsey song, isn't he? He's not straight, right?
Yeah, Lil Nas X.
Well, there we go. We're making some progress, right?
Same thing with Tyler the Creator. Actually, a lot of rappers are coming out of the shadows,
Out
and
of the
closet,
straight-
I guess.
The straight jacket,
Out of the straight jacket into the flamboyant
the Elton
tuxedos.
John Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I think that serves like a dual purpose because one, you have like a model figure, but at the same time, it's like it creates a scenario for anti-gay people to be like, oh man, I like this song, but he's gay. Oh shit, what do I do?
wrestle with that.
Yeah, and it gives them something to wrestle with. So I think like prominent gay figures like that serve an incredible purpose that like when I was younger, I thought like having like a representative or like a hero or something that like somebody that you look up to, I thought that was like totally lame, but now I understand that like, it can serve a lot of purposes and it's actually pretty helpful.
Well, I mean, any role model serves like some kind of purpose.
Yeah, a purpose to somebody, but it doesn't matter what it is. or what you're doing, as long as you're inspired to do it and you don't stop and you make some progress, and eventually you'll have some kind of success.
And you don't stop coming, and you don't stop coming, and you don't stop coming, and you don't stop coming.
That is very true. Never stop coming.
I
And I think that's the advice we'll leave on, is just never stop coming.
That's a good place to leave it.
Yeah, so if anyone's still here, I'm Borley Borelstein, also known as Austin.
I
My
am
co-host.
Fauntleroy.
Yeah, Fauntleroy. Yeah, there we go. That's what we should have used. We could do that for next time.
What?
Because we didn't I didn't say you were Fauntleroy at the beginning.
What does it matter? No one
It
gives a
doesn't matter.
shit.
Nobody gives a shit. I don't know. Well, I see. We'll need to title it.
Nobody knows what that is. Like, nobody knows what Fauntleroy is.
Nobody knows what anything is.
I mean, at least well, I'm under the premise that if someone stumbled upon this, like, they're already coming to your videos once or twice.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna title them in a way that might be provocative enough to get some
Might
views.
pull in a couple other people.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, Parasite is it's too woke.
Yeah. Right.
I
Something
don't think
like
that's
that.
relevant enough, but I'm sure 2 people would click on it.